So today marks the first day that I'm officially a part of Team Pixel. So huge shout out to Google for making this happen. So here we have the Google Pixel 5a. Now to be honest, it's been pretty much a year since I last touched a Pixel phone, back when I did the 4a video, I believe it was. Now if you're new to this channel, welcome. But also recognize that I am not the traditional phone reviewer because I did them years ago and I got pretty bored of talking about all the nuanced differences and tech specs of essentially these rectangular devices. Oh my gosh, that's really pretty. I like the new color. I believe it's called mostly black, even though it should be called kind of green. So in this video, I'm mostly going to touch upon my first impressions of the device itself, and then we're going to get right into talking about the camera, what features I first see, and then you're going to see a bunch of different sample clips of photos and videos from this device, because when it comes to being a phone, I'm sure it's great, I'm sure it's fine, and also because there's a plethora of other YouTubers and creators who are going to be talking about the other stuff, the screen, how fast apps open and close. So I guess this is now a fully aluminum build compared to the essentially plastic, or what's called polyurethane, whatever it's called, of last year. Now it is coated with like this soft touch material, feels really good, but it doesn't feel cheap. I held a lot of budget phones that feel like plastic, and honestly this definitely feels like a more premium device than last year's, ever so slightly. Now on the rest of the box, I got a SIM ejector, got some welcome stuff, and then, oh look at that, budget phones are still ahead of the curve, coming with a charging brick, cable, and what looks to be a USB Type-C to USB Type-A adapter. Honestly, I have so many of these charging cables lying around, I rarely ever take them out of the boxes. All right, let's hope it has some juice here. Hey, there we go. And please bear with me for a quick time lapse while I set up the phone and get it to a point where I can actually talk about it. All right, so we got through all of the boring setup screens here, and now hopefully off to the side here, you're seeing the actual screen here. So as I mentioned before, pretty much all phones nowadays are really good at what traditional phones do. So I'm not going to be talking about, anything other than the camera and video functionality that we can check out here. So before we get into showing some sample footage, let's see what the apps are all about, starting with the stock Google app, which of course has always been pretty good. So let's see. We're gonna allow everything. All right, so obviously this is a very low light environment, so it's recommending I can turn on night sight. We basically have 3 different cameras here. So we got an ultra wide, regular wide, and telephoto. And then we also have the selfie one here. From the preview, all of these are looking pretty good. Cameras look pretty solid, much better than most Android phones that I see, at least out of the box, because a lot of times the preview looks like garbage and then the final result looks, much better. If I go back to the normal camera here, let's go to night sight and get kind of a shot of everything here. Now going into the video functionality, we can see normal, time-lapse, and slow motion. A couple nice options for video stabilization. Ooh, cinematic pan. If I were to record. Oh, I see. It slows it down. I like the quick sharing in the little menu that pops up there. You can kind of swipe. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see what other options here. Of course, I want 4K. I don't know why phones come with 1080p as the default. I feel like people will own their phone forever and not realize that it can shoot 4K, or they think it's shooting 4K. So under the advanced features, it looks like we get RAW plus JPEG control, as well as store videos efficiently. So using H.265 rather than H.264. I'm always all for that. That's cool. It has a dirty lens warning. Again, right now looking at the video preview, it's incredibly unfair because this is a crazy low light environment for a phone. But just so you guys can see what low light looks like. Again, the room is essentially pitch black. Just got my studio lights over here. To be honest, it's not looking too bad. It's definitely applying a decent amount of noise reduction. In slow motion. It's kind of weird how they put everything, rather than like frame rates, like, oh, this is 24 or 60 FPS or 120. It's basically a 1/4x, 1/8x. Good for fast movements, good for sports. So that's a little weird just in the design and the wording, but we'll definitely play with that a little bit. All right, so that's pretty much the Pixel app. That's what everyone expects. But now, of course, I've downloaded Filmic Pro, which is by far the best professional video app for Android. So let's open that guy up and see what it's all about. Now, obviously, this phone was literally just announced today, so there's probably not any feature specific, and probably the Filmic team hasn't had time to optimize anything for this phone. But I always like to see what's kind of available out of the box and what settings we can access. So in terms of resolution, we can go up to 2160. Of course, we're going to go Filmic Extreme. That's going to be the highest bit rate that it'll allow for. And I'll go to the more optimized codec as well. For frame rates, we can see that we have 24. Looks like we can do 60. Not too shabby. Let's see, do we get any noise reduction? I'm going to turn off, as well as the sharpening I'm going to disable as well. Now, the reason I like to test this out is because when I use Filmic, it's all about, hey, can I do better by capturing a close to raw or log image on the phone and then apply however much noise reduction in post that I want, rather than internally. Now, sometimes it's actually more beneficial to let the phone handle the noise reduction just because it knows exactly how much and how to add it. So sometimes, especially on lower end phones, it can be better. And looking at this, I am seeing a lot of color in the noise. So let me go ahead and turn the noise reduction back to, I'm gonna try minimal. It's looking about the same. Yeah, so between fast and minimal, just to keep the colors out of the noise, I'm gonna keep the noise reduction turned on. When I go outside or more brightly lit places, I'll play around with that. And then big question, do we have log? So we have log V2. So now we're shooting ultra flat here. Now I believe the screen recording's still going, so props to this phone for both handling a screen recording as well as the live preview, and especially the noise reductions changing. It was starting to kind of be a little bit sluggish, but now we're kind of back at it. So my initial impressions just from a physical and use standpoint is this is a hell of a good phone. I've been using a lot of budget phones, testing them out lately, and this feels really solid in the hands. It's a nice compact size, and of course it's a Pixel, so it's running the latest version of Android extremely well. Everything is really snappy and quick to open and close and change settings. So anyway, that's all I have to say about the physical phone. Let's get to the sample footage. Enjoy. So I figured that I would share my final thoughts while using the Pixel 5a rear ultra-wide camera. Let's see how it looks. I'm sure it's a little bit different than the 6K Pro, but gets the job done. So from what I'm seeing after taking a bunch of photos and videos the past couple of hours, kind of just playing around the house with it, I'm realizing that Google's biggest asset is their software and photo imaging processing. Because most of the time when I take a picture or I'm looking at the preview of a video, It doesn't look that great, looks pretty on par with some low to mid-level other Android phones that aren't really impressive. Once you give it those couple moments of processing, you kind of see the HDR come into effect. You see a balance of sharpening and noise reduction to bring clarity to different subjects. And overall, the image that you get looks definitely above what a low to mid-level phone would give you. And of course, that's also why I think if you install the Google camera app onto another Android phone, it inherently looks better because it's got a lot of that same technology. One weird thing that I did notice that I need to do more testing, but I want to throw it out there in case anyone else is noticing it with the 5A, is after shooting, again, a bunch of photos and videos, specifically using the Filmic Pro app, so I was doing 4K 60 at extreme bit rates, filming in log, so definitely pushing the phone to its max. I did get a heating warning once that kind of forced it to stop recording. And then when I was uploading all the sample clips to Google Photos, it stopped uploading because it said that it was overheating. So I stuck it in the fridge for 10 minutes and out it comes, uploading all the sample images just fine. Third-party pro apps, at least for the camera, definitely seem to push the phone to its max. So just want to throw that out there. So obviously this is just the first impressions. There wasn't any professional photos or video capturing going on here. That I'm gonna save for the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. Got some really cool things planned there. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I need to go watch Elmo with my son.